Right, so as I said, we're going to look at the psychology of revision. I am going to go over some studies, but obviously you're not going to need to remember these for the exam. This is just to kind of highlight my point on revision. And as I said, this can be applied to any topic, any subject. Okay, so it might be worth taking some notes, but as I say, you're not necessarily going to get tested, or you won't get tested on the content. Now, as psychologists, we like research. I think you've gathered that by now. And so we need to use it to our advantage and say, well, kind of what research has there been into, we've looked at memory research, what research has there been into revision? And Dunlosky et al. Looked at the most effective types of revision. Really handy. So as psychologists, we do have a bit of an advantage looking at revising for our subjects. So what they looked at was high effective and lower effective revision strategies. Can you think of how they might have done that? Yeah.
They would have told specific people to revise a specific way, and then other people to revise in other ways, like compare test results.
Good. So this in itself is research methods revision. But yet they could have had maybe two different groups revising the same content. One revise it one way, one revise it another, but you might get individual differences there. So another way to do it is get the same person and maybe get them to do revision in one subject one way and another subject the other. So that's what they did, lots of different studies. And what they found was the low effective stuff is just reading the material. That doesn't help, rereading. You're not going to remember the content. Highlighting. Who loves a highlighter here? Yeah, I love a highlighter. And your books end up looking a bit like that. You end up highlight the key terms, so you highlight the whole book. So unfortunately, that doesn't work. It's been tested by science. It doesn't work. Summaries don't work either. What does work is what they call spaced learning, and we'll come to that in a second, and practice testing. Now, we've said this to you. We said this after the mocks, didn't we, that it's not good enough just to reread. You have to actually give yourself situations that you're going to face in the exam, and that's exam-style questions, time conditions, and they were the most highly effective information. What spaced learning is this. Okay, so it is recapping little bits of information quite often. So it's the little and often technique. It's not sitting down and saying, right, I'm going to do 4 hours of memory revision now. That's just ineffective. It's been found to be ineffective. What you're better off doing is a little bit and then repeating it. So what they'd say here is maybe, so say you're doing your memory test now. So you're going to review the topic for 20 minutes, maybe for prep today, and then a transformation task. This is really key, and that's what we're actually going to focus on today. Transformation tasks. What that means is you're transforming the information. Okay? You're not just reading a big paragraph. That's what you've got in your textbooks, haven't you? You've got big whole page spreads of AO1, whole page spreads of AO3, and you're thinking, I need to learn this for the exam, which is true. But just rereading that or just copying that word for word, that doesn't work. What you need to do is transform that information. You need to make it into more manageable chunks. You need to do something with it, essentially. And that can be lots of different things. This is why mind maps work. Okay? So the idea of a mind map is you've got this vast, and I'll talk about that again in a second, but you've got vast amounts of information. And I see mind maps that are massively well detailed, but too much information on there. That's not the point of a mind map. A mind map is you're getting all this information and you're narrowing it down and you're focusing on the key points. And as I say, we'll look at that in a bit. So actually, almost less is more when it comes to mind map. You need to be giving yourself signposts. Jogging your memory, there you go, this is our memory revision. You need cues, don't you? You looked at forgetting. Memory cues really help. If you're given a word list to remember and then asked just to recall it, you might not be very good. But if you're then told, oh, if you remember they were all capital cities, that might be the cue that you need to give you information. Oh, they were all, I think the research in the book said it was trees, wasn't it? Types of tree. They were told just to recall it. Were fairly poor, then we're told, oh, remember, they were tree names, and that was the cue that you need. So that's what your mind map should be giving you, should be a cue. And then, look at this, it all links in. Then you're using your visual spatial sketchpad in the exam, close your eyes, and you're trying to remember these cues, and that should be given it to your memory. So you almost trust it. Obviously, you need the knowledge first, don't you? You need to understand it first. Hopefully, you've got the vast majority of that throughout the course, but then it's these cues. Comics, producing a comic strip if you're a bit more visual, if you're a bit arty. Song, if you're really arty. Interpretive dance, if you're... Yeah. So anything you can do that can transform that information. I'm going to show you another way of doing it. I've got like a table. But you're trying to, as I say, condense that information down from big bits to small. Another really good task, I haven't got an example of this here, I was going to get a picture for you, but is, so you've got that page of AO1. So the first thing you do is then condense that down into half a page. So you'd have maybe bullet points for sentences. And then you want to condense down into a post-it. Okay, so you're getting vast amounts down into manageable information. The task you would then do is go from the post-it up to just have to start with the post-it and then say, right, can I expand on these points? And then go from expanding on those points to answering exam questions. So that transformation, that's quite key. And that might be it. So you spend 35 minutes on one topic on one day. Short, sharp. Okay. Then, tomorrow, you might say, right, okay, so this was topic A. I was looking at the multi-store model in prep today. So then when it comes to prep tomorrow or study tomorrow, okay, right, so I looked at it yesterday. I'm going to practice myself. 10 minutes, I'm going to give myself 2. Let's see if I can remember that off the top of my head. Okay. And then you might do another exam question, or you might check your test answers, check how accurate you were. So it's this drip effect. It's this little and often has been found to be the most effective. And then you go on to your next topic, your next task. So it's called spaced learning. There's gaps between what you're looking at and how you're being assessed, and that's been found to be really effective. And actually, kind of teacher training, that's what they look at now. That's what they tell us to do. And actually, next year, that's exactly what we will be doing. So I've told you that we'll be pretty much finished all the new content by Christmas. We're 2/3 of the way through the whole A-level content. So you actually, to have survived this far, you've done really, really well. And it should make it easier, because that means after Christmas next year, we'll be doing this spaced learning. So we'll be going back to stuff that we started September-ish, and it's that repetitiveness. Again, rehearsal, short-term memory into long-term memory. That's good. Okay, so that's the first thing that I wanted. I'm going to show you again this. I'm going to focus now on this idea that actually it's focusing in on key information, and that's important here. And that's what I think some students find really difficult. Actually, I see, oh, these are my revision notes, or cue cards, sir, or this is my mind map, sir, and there's too much in there. What you're doing is you need to be... There's no way you're going to remember all of that information. Look at your textbook. You need all of that. There's no way you're going to remember every word on every page. It's not going to happen. So what you need to do is you need to trust your brain. Trust that you have that information. But what we're trying to do is access it, aren't we? We're trying to give ourselves a cue and give ourselves a bit of a reminder that, oh, okay, it is actually up there. Obviously, it needs to be there first. So one thing you might need to do at the very start is see what you do know and what you don't. So that's where multiple choice things come in. So we'll do that. We might have time at the end of the day to do that. So you know those Caboodle quizzes. They're quite good, multiple choice, different sorts of questions. That tells you, okay, right, I've got all of the multi-store model and the working memory model questions, right? Brilliant. I can bank that, but actually the forgetting information, I need to go over that again. So that's the first thing you need to do, identify the gaps in your knowledge and kind of relearn that. Once you've done that, you're then preparing for the exam, aren't you? You're preparing to get this information. Okay, so the idea is you've got small bits of information that gives you a link to other bits of information. And actually the human brain is very good at doing this. So we'll test you now. So I'm going to give you a small bit of information and see if you can expand that information. So it's not the total, but I bet you'd be pretty good at, I'd like to take all of these. So you need to identify the logo. Google, excellent. So you haven't got all the information there, but that was the cue. So you know, what have you got? Probably a quarter of the information there, and you then record the rest of it. That's what we're trying to do. Okay? Let's go. Good. Olympics, yeah, good. That's 12. BT, good. New York, that was a bit harder. Good. Same, you can do with movies potentially. This is Caribbean. Frozen, my fave. Okay, next one's a bit harder. See if anyone gets it.
No. Yeah, scene from The Hobbit.
Boom, it's a Hobbit. If you didn't get it from that, you probably would have got it from that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So what that one displays is actually, it's remembering the right bit of information. So if you remember this, oh, what was that again? It's quite hard to recall. But actually, if you then specify and get the name of the research, the name of the theory, that makes your recall a lot better, a lot easier. Okay. So what we're going to focus on today is I have pre-prepared for you. We'll focus on the mind map, because as I said, that is one good way of getting this information down. So what I've got here is the 8 different sections of memory, which there are 8. Okay, so there's the multi-skill model, types of long-term memory, working memory model, the 2 forgetting, interference, retrieval failure, misleading information, eyewitness testimony and anxiety, and the cognitive interview. That's the whole topic. Okay. And then around that, I've got key AO1 information. Okay, that might be a researcher, so I've got Atkinson and Schifrin and a copy of the model here, or it might be key terms. So for types of long-term memory, I've got episodic, semantic, procedural. So you might want to add some extra information to that. You can use mine, you can start from scratch if you want. I'm not very arty, got a bit, spider scratch handwriting, so you might want to start your own, that's fine. The second thing that I've got is so it's the same information, or it is the same information. So I've got it down there, let's cut it off a little bit, but you can go over it. Are the topics, again, multi-skill model, long-term memory, working memory model, so it's the same information, and then a space for your AO1 and a space for your AO3, your evaluation. So I filled mine in here. Okay. I'm pretty proud of that actually, it's a bit of time. But again, it's got the key information, it's got a copy of the model, or the key researcher. And then my AO3, I've even so that one I haven't started the AO3 yet, but this one I've even started, I've made the AO3 point, and again you might expand that. Now I would just give you copies of these, but why am I not going to do that? Because it will help you, it's not the transformation type. So obviously, once you've done this sheet, brilliant, and you've got that to revise from. But actually, it's the process of doing it that is the revision, rather than the end product. It's the journey that matters, not the destination. Anyone else just throw off? Yeah, so I will let you see this one, but it's better for you to do it yourself. Or if you decide that that's neither of those is what you want to do, I'm open to you going off and doing whatever it is you want to do, but just bear in mind what I spoke about there. So I'll come around and give you these sheets and see how you get on with it.